Hey everybody, Danielle Egnew here. Welcome to inPsight Radio. I am so excited about our broadcast today. We have a tremendous show today all about angels. That's right, angels. What are they? What do they sound like? What do they speak like? What do they look like? How can you tell if you're being talked to by an angel? What is their personality like? I deal with these beings all the time. And I am so excited to give you an overview of what they're like. So welcome to inPsight Radio today. And towards the end of the show, we're going to just smatter just a little bit out there about shadow government and what's going on with that and why is it important and why do I keep bringing it up. But for now, angels, let's get rocking on the angels. Now, why is this exciting? Well, I'll tell you, every single human being upon this earth has an angel that has been assigned just to them as soon as their soul was created. That's a true thing. As soon as their soul was created, that angel was literally fused to that individual to go with them from lifetime to lifetime. Now, those of you who have actually had an opportunity to have a reading with me, you'll hear me say that at the top of the readings because it's important to note. There's a lot of misinformation about angels out there. And I think it's important to note that we do have guardian angels. And not only do we have guardian angels, we have angels that have walked with us time and time again. And that's really important. That's a big, important part of the story here because that has to do with how well our spiritual team knows us. That's a big deal. Now, some of you have heard me say this before. Angels are not people. We don't die and become an angel. We don't die and have wings sprout out our back and we go bopping along in our merry little way, being angelic all of a sudden because just like on It's a Wonderful Life, we're trying to earn our wings by doing a good deed. I love that story. I love It's a Wonderful Life. That is my all-time favorite film ever. If I was ever stranded on a desert island someplace, I would really be looking forward to watching this movie over and over again because it's really miraculous. So that still doesn't change the fact that indeed, humans do not become angels when we die. Angelic life, gang, are temporal beings. Well, what does that mean? I mean, I talk to these angels 24/7, okay? I have a really good grasp on the nature of angelic life. What does that mean? Well, it means that they are beings who see and feel and experience and operate in all space-time at one time. So angels obviously don't see timelines like we do. You know, we see, I get up in the morning, I live 90 years and I die. That's my life. Angels see our life in this incarnation. They see the life that they shared with us in another time frame. They see every single lesson that we've ever had or ever begun to rack up for ourselves. These angels actually have the opportunity to be in every single aspect of our choices and lives, no matter which timeline we're talking about. And I'm going to talk about timelines in just a second and why that's important. I mean, why is this a big deal? Well, it's a really big deal because these angels are not hung up on being in this particular life with us or waiting for next life to actually bring us a lesson. They're going to bring us whatever lessons we want to learn in that moment. And they're going to wait to see what we ask for before they bring it because they are literally experiencing every single lifetime we've ever lived at once. They are experiencing every choice we are ever going to make at once. And it's part of what they do. They are literally air traffic control for absolutely everything in the universe. Now, at least the angels who deal with human beings are wired this way. There's a lot of other angels that don't ever deal with people. And I've noticed that just like humans, angels do have their own aptitudes. They do have their own strengths. So there are certain angels out there who honestly are not wired to work with human beings, and that's fine too. That's fine too. the biggest point of all of that is that these angels then have the opportunity to be able to bring us support in many different ways, emotionally, intellectually, as far as how many choices we could make for our life path, because they're experiencing exactly who we are on a million different levels at one time. Then these angels are then able to step up and assist us, because angels aren't people. So they don't need to change out people every single lifetime. That would be a human thing, okay? For instance, I come into this lifetime, I've got a female body, I'm attracted to women, I have a beautiful wife, I'm a psychic. These are the things I'm doing in this lifetime, okay? Now, my last lifetime, perhaps I was a male, maybe I was in the army, maybe I had a male partner, who knows? But every time I come down here, my lesson is different. I may be a different gender. I may surround myself in a different socioeconomic platform so I can experience different types of life. Angels, gang, don't do that. Angels don't do that. No way. Angels are too busy just being exactly what they are, which are temporal beings who are air traffic control for absolutely positively any choice you could be making in any timeline at any time based upon any circumstance. Okay? So, when we have these ideas that our guardian angels are running around trying to protect ourselves from ourselves, that's actually not the way it works. If I want to belly flop into an absolutely hideous decision, my angels are going to be sending me impulses saying, there's probably a better way to do that. And I may feel those angelic messages through those little whispers. You ever get that little whisper right before you do something just jackrabbit stupid? I mean, come on, we all do stupid stuff, right? Have you ever gotten that whisper right before it just gets completely stupid? That little whisper that says, this is probably not a very good idea that you're doing that. But you do it anyway, right? And then, of course, it's got completely catastrophically terrible reactions and responses. And you get to the other side of that jackrabbit stupid thing that you did, or I did, or whoever did it. And we say to ourselves, wow, I knew I shouldn't have done that. I had the worst feeling about that, and I did it anyway. Okay. That worst feeling you had about it is most likely the angel that walks with your life path, going, oh, are you really sure you want to have that many shots of tequila and wear that when you dance on the bar while all these people are Facebook living you? Are you really sure that's a good idea? That whisper that says, come on, man, why don't you double think that? That's our angelic life. And when I talk about the angel that walks with your life path, when I've done readings for people, I've generally been presented with 2 to 3 angels. The most I've ever been presented with was 5, and I didn't even want to know what that guy was doing in his life to need 5 angels with him at all times. Wow. Way above my pay grade. But generally, it's 2 to 3 angels that are hardwired, that are soldered to the soul of a human being, that travel with that human being lifetime after lifetime to be able to help that human being rack up all kinds of really fantastic experience so that human being can then take that experience and do something really amazing with it and compound those experiences to come. Okay? So it's really important to note that we've got 2 or 3 angels with us all the time. Now, quite frankly, we might have 10,000 angels with us at a time, and perhaps they only send 2 or 3 to talk to me because I really have a hard time keeping up with more than 3 because they all speak at one time and in cubes of information, and we'll get to that in a minute. However, the angel who walks with your life path, and everybody has one, is an angel who deals with the plan of your life. Are you going to go from A to B? Are you going to go right? Are you going to go left? Are you going to be a doctor? Are you going to be a lawyer? This angel is helping with the strategy of your life. Now, keep in mind, gang, angels do not and will never make decisions for us. Period. I've had some really mad clients who would just get furious with me because their angels would not just tell them what to do. Well, they're not going to tell you what to do, gang. They're not here to tell you what to do. Your angels aren't the boss of you, guys. Our angels, people, are messengers, and they assist us in the background. So if the angel who walks with your life path is assisting you in making life path decisions about, should I be a doctor or a lawyer or a healer or a pilot? What do I want to do? The role of the universe is not to come down here and make your mind up for you. And I know that kind of sucks, right? Because we want some magic wand to come swooping in here and make all our decisions for us. And we want the cheats to the arcade game. And we want all of those levels of that PlayStation game so we can just cruise right through and be the winner. Except that's not actually the way it works on the planet of Earth. Okay, so the angel who walks with your life path is here to whisper to you and make advisory to your decision in terms of what you're doing. This is a true deal. You know, there's a lot out there that's just not accurate about what angelic life does or how it interfaces with human beings. We like to create angels into these all-knowing genies that no matter what we do, they're just going to keep us safe and they're just going to make sure we don't kill ourselves. And no matter what, those angels are going to be there for us. They're going to be there for you no matter what, because that's their job. However, if I decide to completely go nose over tea kettle into a meth habit and I keep hearing this little whisper saying, you know, that's really not a very good idea. And I keep blowing that off and getting high. And pretty soon I lose my family. And pretty soon I'm living on the street. And pretty soon I'm partaking in prostitution because I need to pay for my meth habit. And I keep hearing this little voice in there going, you know, that's really not a very good idea. And I just keep doing it anyway. These angels cannot interrupt our choice making. They can try to heavily influence us with just trying to throw us some love and some better sense and some common sense. Yet, gang, our angels are never going to make our decisions for us. I'm not kidding you. I've been doing this many, many years, and I've had some seriously upset clients. People who just literally resort to screaming and saying, I don't understand what I'm paying you for. If you can't tell me what I'm going to do and what decisions I'm going to make, and my angels can't tell me what I should be doing, why am I calling you? And I'd have to laugh and say, I honest to God, don't know why you're calling me. I don't write video games. I'm not a video game author. I'm here to translate for your angelic beings who are here to help you with your own decision making. With your own decision making. Well, how am I supposed to know what to do? That's why I'm calling you. Oh, gosh, no, don't call me about that particular stuff. That's where you call a guidance counselor or your best friend and you go have margaritas and you talk about, gosh, you know, do I want to be a fireman or a CIA agent or a ballerina? What do I want to be when I grow up? Gang, angels are not here to make our choices for us. They are here to help us with our choices. Do you see the difference there? Okay, so the angel who walks with your life path is going to give you little whispers on different options that you may have decided on. And you'll feel those options and those whispers in your body. Well, I really want to be a healer, but you know, gosh darn it, I should probably just get my accounting degree and do something real world. And you feel that funny feeling way below your belly button. When you feel that icky gut feeling that's literally below your belly button, that feeling is your angelic life, the spirit world going, oh, don't go there. Don't do it. That's a bad idea. If you feel fear high up in your solar plexus, right where the rib cage comes together, if you feel fear there, that's just human fear of progressing forward. That's a normal fear to have. Okay, that's human fear. That's the fear of change. Push through that fear if it hits you in the high solar plexus. Yet if you're feeling a dread that's way low, belly button or lower, and that's just telling you, oh no, that's a no-go, that is your angelic life trying to communicate with you through your largest chakra, your sacral and your root chakra, your root, of course, being the largest, and trying to get a hold of you to say, oh, no, that's going to be rough, man. If you choose it, it's going to be rough. Now, there's nothing in life that says we can't override our angelic, how shall we put this, advisory notices and go ahead and go straight on into being a meth head. We learn our lessons the way that we're going to learn them. And sometimes we sign up for some real wing dingers. There are some lessons, gang, that we sign up for that it's way above my pay grade, why we choose some of the lessons that we do sometimes. However, it's been my observation working in this field many, many years that we do choose some hard lessons. And when we choose those hard lessons, upon choosing those hard lessons, we have a whole different range of responsibilities and incredible growth that takes place. So the angel who walks with your life path helps you with the strategy of your life, okay? And I'm boiling these down into some ridiculously simple bullet points. I'm quite sure that these angels do more than what I'm simply relaying to you. However, I'm simply speaking from my experience in translating for particular angelic groups that come with people to readings. So we've got the angel who walks with your life path. Then we've got the angel who walks with your heart. And this angel generally does a lot of intercessory work for people, meaning that this angel is going to talk my ear off in a reading, most likely more than your life path angel. Because remember, life path angel's more about Google Maps. What's the fastest way between A and B? What's the route that's going to have the least accidents along that route? The angel who walks with your heart is heavily interfaced, obviously, with the heart chakra, yet also, if an angel who walks with someone's heart comes right forward, that's an indicator to me that that person is most likely an empath, because that person who I'm reading for will experience life through their heart chakra first, and then they'll send it up to the head for processing. So the angel who walks with our heart deals with our desires, our passions, our fears, our emotional sphere. That's the angel that walks with the heart. And that angel, in terms of tone, when I'm speaking with these angels, that angel tends to have the most human tone of all of them. And believe me, none of them have a human tone. Angels aren't people. They don't sound like people. They don't look at the world like people. They are as anti-people as you can get. So when I say that the angel who walks with your heart is the most human of them all, that still doesn't make them human. It just means that their specialty in communication is emotional interfacing, okay? So those angels will emotionally interface with me. And they generally do have a different tone in the way that they communicate than the angel who walks with your life path, who tends to be a little more brass tacks. Okay, bullet point A, bullet point B, let's get going, people. Just the facts, man, let's go. Because that's that angel's aptitude and that's that angel's job, all right? And again, I am making huge broad brush strokes here in describing this angelic life that interfaces with human beings mostly. Because again, there's a lot of misconception out there about our angels. And don't even get me started on whatever. I'll get there. I'm getting ahead of myself. So then we've got the angel who walks with your higher functions. And that's the angel that deals with how you intellectually process something, how we all intellectually process. This angel's specialty is definitions, higher learning. Now, I don't mean that your angel who walks with your higher functions is only going to come around if you have a PhD. Generally, that angel kind of hangs off to the side. And if an individual is having a rough time interpreting a message from the angel that walks with your life path, who of course is all about strategy, or the angel who walks with your heart, who can really wrap some seriously broad concepts into some pretty rough lessons, then I like to call the angel who walks with your higher functions the tiebreaker. because that angel will come in and you talk about just define, like a lawyer almost. And that angel, in my dealings with these angelic groups, is really the least human-esque. And please keep in mind when I say that, none of them are like people whatsoever. So this, then again, to a different degree, removes that angel from being anything like people, even farther out, okay? So that angel becomes a whole caricature of themselves way out there. This is the typical grouping that is hardwired to a living spirit. And I say a living spirit rather than a human spirit because this group of angels has been with you whether you were a human being, whether you were a Palladian, whether you were from Otur, whether you were Oturan, or we like to call those folks Arcturian. Wherever you were, you've had this same group. So the one that is all, or the all, that's how they refer to what we call God. Okay, the all is God. God doesn't distinguish a pecking order between whether a Palladian deserves angels more than a human, or whether a being from the Sirius AB star system deserves angels more than someone who is Oturan. Apparently, the all, or God, sees all of we beings equally, and everybody gets the same grouping of angelic life. Now, who knows? Maybe if you're Uturan, you're only using one angel, or maybe you get 19 angels or whatever. Yet these angels have been with you lifetime after lifetime. This makes my job as a translator for these beings a lot easier when I'm reading for you because they've got your whole darn backstory. These beings make me sound so intelligent. And honestly, I am literally the chick that is reading the teleprompter, so to speak. They are feeding me information and I'm just keeping up with it as fast as I possibly can. And my job is to translate it in a way that makes sense to human beings. Because people, I'll say it again, angels are not people. And they are not in any way wired to feel or see or experience the world the way that we do. I mean, let's talk about their language for a minute, because I think this, as a translator, I think this is just fascinating. The angelic language is not a bunch of words in a line. Like when we speak English, the dog ran out the yard, well, hopefully the word the is in there somewhere. The dog ran out of the yard. We're putting one word after another word to define an entire thought at the end of the sentence. That is westernized language, all right? That is actually human language, period. Angelic life translates information in cubes. So I get downloaded with this huge cube of information that contains every single aspect of the answer that somebody's looking for. Now, my job as a human translator is I've got to unpack that cube and start laying those words one after the other. I will ask for help from this angelic life because I'll be looking at just this massive amounts of emotions and stacked up timelines, and I understand what they're talking about, yet I'm not sure which order to put all this in yet. So I will ask them, I'll throw off a little prompt and say, hey, throw a sister a bone here, okay? Can you unpack this cube for me? So what they'll do is they will give me word, and I will literally, as I'm getting these words, spit out the word. I won't even know what the sentence is until I get to the end of it. Then I can, because with each word, obviously, there is assigned value and meaning because as we talk about on inPsight Radio, words have weight, okay? So there's a lot of encoded information in every single word, yet they unpack this sentence for me. By the time I get to the very end, then I know what they're talking about. Then I can make sense of this massive cube of information that's just been plopped on my head. And so as the translator, that's my job. Their language, they do have a language, and I guess the best I could tell you is it's tonal. It's frequency based. It's more like a whale or a dolphin, and that still sounds so completely ridiculous. I don't even know how to describe an angelic language. Imagine harmonics and I don't even want to say tinkly sounds because it's not even that defined, but these harmonics and these sound spikes and these layers of tones. I guess maybe sort of musical / sound design is really more what they sound like. Yet in that, I appear to be wired to understand what that is, which makes sense because I'm a musician, so I'm wired to decode tones. And then those overtones and those harmonics and that ringing language, I guess, of sorts, then forms itself into cubes of cognitive information that I, as the translator, will unpack with a lot of help. Trust me, I have a lot of help from these guys. So my job is to be able to create a non-linear or from a non-linear language, a message that is linear. My job, for instance, is to take this completely seventh dimensional, massive message and translate it in a way that makes sense regarding one specific aspect of a question somebody asks. So one of the things that I do appreciate about angels is they're very on point. Angels, they will speak to us in allegories because we are some of the few species in the galaxies that actually learn through equivocation or contrast or allegorical application, which is why Jesus was always telling stories and speaking in parables. And so was Abraham Lincoln, which was the same soul as the Christ. So it's very interesting if you read, on a sidebar, if you read Abraham Lincoln's writings, it's a lot like reading the purported words of Jesus. And that same Christed energy came through Lincoln. So it's fascinating to me to see those same spiritual patterns repeat themselves. I think that's kind of cool. Anyway, so when we're dealing with angels, we're dealing with beings that are, just to recap, they are temporal beings. They see all of our lifetimes at one time. They deal with us not as we are today, although they are dealing with us today. They are dealing with us as Catherine the Great. They're also dealing with us as that one time we were a pharaoh and one time we were a poor pauper who took care of cows in the 1700s. And, they deal with us as the whole being. And they understand our base spiritual language and what we're here to learn. So where I find it interesting, and I'm not here to disagree or lay a disparaging light on anyone else's work, gang. That's not what my job is. That's not who I am as a human being. I do find it curious that people will translate these angelic messages, and I would love to have those angels that these people are translating. I want to know where the heck they're finding them. Because they speak just like your grandma, or actually they sound like Palladians, but I'll get to that in a minute. These angels that are, oh, dear ones, beloved ones, sweet ones of the Lord, and, your kind is this, and you're beautiful, and you're uplifting. And I am not saying that people who translate those messages are not hearing angels, okay? I would not be so presumptuous. I would tell you that in all my years, I've never heard an angel speak like that. I have heard Palladians speak that way. I have heard ascended masters speak that way. I have heard the council that sits with the Akashic records speak that way, but not angels. So maybe or maybe someone's frequency picks that type of language patterning up. Maybe they generally speak with the Akashic Records keepers or the Palladians. Palladians are a very, 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 very ancient off-world species that are no longer even corporeal. They don't even have bodies if they don't want to have them. And they're huge and they're blue and they come right in on the same frequency. Well, I shouldn't say the same. They're right there, very close to the frequency that angelic life communicates on. So I can understand if somebody would be chatting with their angels and then all of a sudden this, very puffy, fluffy message comes through, and they're hearing this as angelic messages. And quite frankly, I don't think it really matters. If somebody's channeling a beautiful message to humanity, who cares if they say it came from an angel, if it came from Obi-Wan Kenobi, if it came from Yoda, if it came from God, if it came from a Palladian? I mean, does it really actually matter if it's a beautiful, uplifting spiritual message? No, it really doesn't. So I don't want to be that person to split those hairs, because I think that gets a little weird. So I'm saying, strictly from my experience, that the angelic life that I have interfaced with it's very intense life also. These angels have never, ever presented themselves as these sweet, beautiful, loving beings. Let me back up. They have presented themselves as powerful and as loving, and I can feel peace or God through them. Just this ultimate provision and this amazing feeling of assistance. And I can feel that. And they do have a great deal of love that comes through them. It's very powerful, and it feels very beautiful and helpful. And people have had incredible interfacing with these beings and been filled with just love and peace and this sense that everything was going to be okay. And that is actually the God energy that comes through these beings, really. I mean, their energy is very transparent. And when they come from light, that incredible feeling of love or support or everything's going to be fine, that awesome God energy is what we associate with angelic life, that feeling of love and provision and majesty and magical stuff. That's what we think of as angels, really, when it comes right down to it. Technically speaking, that's the feeling of the God energy that comes through them. And are they loving beings? Well, of course. Are they helpful? Yes, of course they are. They're just not helpful in the way that we would understand as a human being. They are super duper different. I mean, they are really different. And you've heard incredible stories of people being saved by an angel, or people being an angel showing up in a person suit that helps somebody, saying, you know what? Don't be afraid. Somebody's coming. They'll help you. Our angels, though they will not make our decisions for us, they absolutely will assist us. And there are times when there is a random car flying at our head because we didn't realize that we were in the wrong place at the wrong time, and there's this massive accident that's trying to happen, and here comes this huge giant semi rolling down the road. And there are times when those angels will intercede on our behalf, because our timeline isn't necessarily, it's supposed to involve getting taken out by that semi at that time. And of course, those angels will intercede, and, the truck will have missed us by that much. Because you have to remember, gang, we're going through life and we are learning all of our lessons. And so are 8 billion other people. I want you to think of a perfectly still pond, and you drop one little pebble in and it makes a ring. And then you drop 2 pebbles in and those rings cross over. Now drop 8 billion pebbles in that lake and watch the disruption and the overlay of all of those circles and ripple effects running into one another. Pretty soon you just have a choppy surface. So in terms of what I've been able to observe that these angels are helping us navigate is that incredibly choppy surface. And sometimes chaotic, weird stuff just comes flying into our timeline because somebody else had some weird thing going on in their timeline. So kapow, then we've got this weirdo thing happening right in front of us. Okay. In those moments, I've noticed that angels intercede on our behalf to keep our train just chugging along on the track that it's supposed to be going on. And you hear tales of people who have been calmed or comforted by a strange-looking individual or person, and while they were trapped in a car or whatnot, this person came up and talked to them about how they were going to be okay, and all of a sudden, miraculously, that person just disappeared. Angels will come to us to calm us and to make sure that we feel okay. I mean, they're not heartless creatures. They're just not gushers, okay? So if it is their duty in that moment to put on a person costume and come down and calm us down and bring the love of the one that is all, or the love of universe, or the love of God to us in that moment because we're having a meltdown, or we need to be calmed down, or they just want us to feel a little better, they can certainly do that. Yet that is not generally what they're doing. They are generally in the background assisting us with our life choices. And even when you hear the tales of these individuals who are, say, trapped in a car, and then for some reason, some priest, a person in a priest outfit shows up and says, it's okay, you're going to be okay. Help is on its way. Keep your eyes open. They have no idea. There's no other car around. Just this person in a priest outfit shows up and starts speaking to them in this beautifully hypnotic, loving cadence that it's going to be okay. And 5 minutes later, here comes the fire department. And the person in the car says, hey, did you get a look at that priest? That priest really helped me out. And the fire department says, there was no priest when we got here. You hear about these stories all the time, because that is truly how our angelic life interfaces with us. They work as background players. You know, if you've ever gone to a play on Broadway or a local production in your neighborhood, and the stage crew, they're wearing all black, they've got a headset on. You don't see that stage crew unless they're moving sets, and then they scamper to the wings, and the main actors come on and they put the play on. Our angels are like the stage crew. And yes, they do have names. They are these unpronounceable, tinkly, harmonic overtone whale sound, chirpy bird, tinkly whatnots. They do have names. I'm never told their names when people say, what are my angels' names? They don't want even to have that much of a relationship with us because they're in the wings. We're the actors. We're supposed to be interfacing with the audience, not talking to the crew in the wings. And it's not that they don't want us to know their name. And actually, all of us, every single one of us knows the names of these angels that deal with us every day. We know, because they've been with us lifetime after lifetime. It's just that it's part of the human experience to get your mind wiped like a hard drive, and then you get stuck in a flesh suit and it zips up and woohoo, here you go to learn your lessons. So within our consciousness somewhere, of course, we know the names of our angels. It's just that we don't readily know them, and they're likely not going to readily tell us because that kind of ruins the whole background player identity. They want us to be able to interface with ourself, our intuition, and the one, God, universe. They want us to trust our connection with ourself and with universe. And even with them to a degree, except keep in mind, they are hardwired to us. So if you might be listening out there thinking, well, but I don't feel my angels. Well, of course you do. They're literally soldered to your soul. Of course you feel them. Yet, do you really feel your eyelids throughout the day, or are they just blinking and doing their job and you're so used to it that you don't think about it? I mean, that's really it. We are so used to the angelic life and the way that this angelic life interfaces with us that we really don't think about it. And we can feel them in whispers. We can feel them in that sacral chakra or below, in that gut feeling of, oh, don't do this. We can even feel them in our heart chakra, when we feel that peace of spirit or that peace of love or the peace of God. We can feel them. Yet very rarely do they just step right out in front of you and say, hi, I'm an angel. I'm 15 to 20 feet tall and I'm blinding like a nuclear reactor. And if I actually come into your ether, I will fry you like a crispy. How you doing? It's not really how they roll. That's not their thing. So, then we get into the realm of archangels and seraphim, and there are layers upon layers upon layers of these beings. And not all archangels, folks, deal with human beings. Michael does. Michael, we call this being Michael. Michael the archangel deals with people. Michael is one of the big arcs that's an intercessor for human beings because Michael deals with the variance within people that can entertain fear, or as we like to call it, evil. There is no such thing as evil in people, gang. We can actually demonstrate some sickening behaviors. We can emanate evil behaviors. We can copy dark, awful stuff. Yet at the base of who we are, we cannot house true evil because we're creatures of light. Even our bodies, even our cells within the cells have DNA, and that DNA vibrates at a much higher level than the rest of the cell. So that DNA can't even touch the rest of the cell without being destroyed. So it's got to sit in that nucleus because even our cells contain light that cannot even be interfacing with the slowness of the third dimension. So the idea that we could embody something slow enough, like evil, like true evil, that's just not true. We can certainly be rotten as a species. We can be wicked. We can be awful. Yet those are emulated behaviors. We can't actually truly embody true evil. Now, by our human standards, we sure can. We can look at somebody like Adolf Hitler and say that guy's evil. We can look at people around the world right now, world leaders, and say that person is evil. To more accurately state that, they are absolutely emanating behaviors that we would consider evil behaviors, because that's what we know as evil. When you peek through the veil of the vibration of actual chaotic darkness, it is something so disturbing and so, oh my God, phantasm on steroids, that a human body couldn't hold it. It takes 4 to 5 demons to possess one person, if that's even going to happen. And that doesn't happen unless that person's an open channel medium and already holding a huge space for fear. That's got to be the perfect storm, and it takes many of those dark entities to even take a running start at the human body because of how light we are. So why am I going into this? Because I'm talking about archangels, and the arcs deal with all kinds of other stuff. Human beings are like 1/10 of the archangel regiment for the day. Okay? If even that. We're probably more like 1/1,000,000th. We're way down there on the totem pole of things that archangels take care of. They are the master time and space benders. They are the Doctor Who's of the angelic realm. They are balancing all kinds of stuff. And it's not to say that people don't have archangels that talk to us, because they do. Yet generally, where the rubber meets the road is our everyday crew of angels that is helping us out. That's our everyday crew. Okay, those are the beings that are there for us. We like to call them garden variety guardian angels. And I'm careful about this because a lot of people feel more connection with the archangels because we've given them names and we've given them descriptions. Michael slays the devil, and this archangel does that, and that archangel does this. And I'm not saying you can't have your relationship with your archangels, because like I said, a lot of archangels do have connections with different paths of humanity, but a lot of them don't. And it's okay if we think we have a relationship with one. That doesn't really matter, does it? Because as long as we're doing good works in the world, that's awesome. Bottom line is, a lot of these arcs are dealing with massive, massive issues of space-time continuum flow. And then you've got the seraphim, which are weird, and we call them seraphim. They don't actually hardly ever interface with human beings. And you hear in the Bible, they were these freaky looking creatures with wings, and their eyes were all over the wings, and they're just kind of eerie looking. They're very, their job is not people. Generally, their job is many, 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 many other things. And a lot of it's out of my pay grade. And I've only actually seen or dealt with a seraphim one time, and it was not dealing directly with me. It was dealing with an angel that was dealing with an archangel on something else that happened to get in my crosshairs when I was doing a reading for somebody, and it wasn't even related to the person who was doing the reading. And I saw one glimpse of this, what we call a seraphim, this incredibly powerful being. And it creeped me the flip right out. I looked at it, and it looked at me with its 50 billion eyeballs, and I can't even describe the eyeballs because they're not like eyeballs like we have. It was just many, 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 many portals of light that had intelligence behind them. It was really unnerving. And it just looked at me and kept on moving. Like it was like, well, what are you even doing here? And it kept going. So these, of course, are brilliant beings. These, of course, are light beings. And of course, they want to help us. Yet, for all intents and purposes today, I'm focusing on our crew of daily angels. And again, you might have Gabriel that you interface with. Gabriel, I have actually had some conversations with, and that angel is intense. That angel is not a lovey, puffy, fluffy angel in my experience with Gabriel. Gabriel brings change, people. Let's blow the trumpet and end the world. You know, Gabriel's here to kind of a no-nonsense sort of entity that when a system has run its course, it's time to eradicate it and put something else up. I would put Gabriel's energy more in line with Shiva, actually, in the Hindu faith. And Shiva, you know, the goddess rather, bringing all of this motherly change. So it's heavy energy, it's change energy. And when we look at all of these different world religions and how they've presented, like, for instance, Hinduism, which Western Christianity likes to call a polytheistic religion. Actually, Hinduism is not a polytheistic religion. They believe in one God, but it's got so much complex, amazing portions to the God that they've created 10,000 versions of the personalities of the one God to better communicate or interface with that God. I mean, it's really quite interesting to me when we compare the energies of world religions. So our angelic life is absolutely here to support us. They do love us. They are here to strengthen our choices. Yet they are messengers, and they are not here to just show up and read a roster and tell us everything we want to know. They are not the magic genie. They are not the magic 8-ball. They are not a Palladian guide who will come forward and just go talk, 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 talk. They are not a human guide who will come forward and just talk, 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 talk. It's very important, gang, that we remember that if we chose a life down here, we chose to lead with free will. So whenever you get a reading, whenever you pray, whenever you meditate, our wish for direction and our wish for assistance in our direction is in direct relation to what we're asking for. You know, the old Bible saying, ask and ye shall receive. Ye have not 'cause ye ask not. It's kind of true. So it's not the universe begging on us if we don't just get our entire life plan dropped in our lap in a nice little scroll so we can read it and follow the instructions. We are designing the plan, and these angelic beings are assisting us with so much love and so much confidence and so much higher knowledge in how to exercise this plan. This is what we're here to do. And our angels, again, gang, we're hardwired to them. You can't not hear them. You just think you're probably not hearing them because, like I said, how many times do you actually count your eyelids blinking over your eyeball in a day? Well, you don't. I mean, I don't. Maybe you do. Maybe you are astounding and that is your hobby. I don't know. So again, this is a very, very, very brief overview on angelic life. Yet I hope that it gives you some insight on the type of beings that angels are. Powerful, loving, temporal. They speak in cubes of information. They will never force you to do anything. Angels will never beat us over the head with a miracle. If we want to test the universe indefinitely, it's actually not an angel's job to prove to us they are there or to prove to us that universe loves us. That is our job, to enact love so that it attracts love, because like attracts like in the spiritual universe. I've sat with people in readings, God bless them all, who were just in tears because of the life choices that they have made. You know, maybe they had an affair and they got addicted to drugs and they were an alcoholic. And these people, my heart breaks for them because they're just sobbing. And they're saying, oh my God, my angels just must think I'm such a loser and so immoral for what I've done. And I, as the translator, have the awkward moment to try to explain that if they could see their angels are actually just looking at them going, oh, isn't she thoroughly learning? I'm so proud of her. She's going right into that lesson of alcoholism. Look how she is learning about herself. Look how she feels this pain. She is doing so well. What a good learner. You can't really translate that straight across because it makes the angels sound sociopathic and like they don't care. And they do care. Yet they are here to try to keep us on the rails so we don't go off the rails while we're trying to learn our lessons. Yet they can't not have us learn our lessons if that's what we're hell-bent on. That's our choice. And they can try to polish up our lessons the best they can and put them in a queue so that we can use those lessons towards a quicker path to healing. That's their capability. Yet they can't save us from ourselves, gang. They just can't. We do that. We can save ourselves. And this is what they're here for, is to help empower us in the best decisions possible. And really, the only thing that I've ever really seen that interferes with angelic communication is fear. Fear. Man, fear wrecks the whole enchilada. It just makes a great enchilada into a pile of bleh. Fear is a static. It's a white noise that gets into the heart chakra. It gets in the crown chakra. It gets into the third eye. And that fear it tunes out that gentle whispering that angels are trying to communicate with us through our soldered on fiber optic cables. I mean, our unbreakable Bluetooth signal. I use hardwire because Bluetooth can get interrupted, but these angels are literally hardwired to us. They're our peeps. They go with us lifetime after lifetime, like the NASCAR crew. They love us, okay, in their own way. They're a different culture of being, and we love them right back. And they do keep us safe. Believe me, if no one had any angels helping them whatsoever, we would be 8 billion bumper cars running off the rails 24/7 and nothing would ever get done. We would not forward any life lessons. We would not forward any society. We would not somehow be able to transmute all of the pain and anguish coming to the planet Earth from other dimensions and turn it into something loving because we'd be off the rails. I mean, literally, if it was not for our angelic life, there would be chaos everywhere. So whenever you think that your angels are not weighing in, believe me, they are. They are. This plane of existence would be a shite show if it were not for our temporal air traffic controllers, our angelic realm. So just know that. And again, those of you that deal with the archangels, that is absolutely outstanding. They're great big energies. And Gabriel really is a Shiva Kali mashup in terms of the energy that Gabriel has. I've actually interfaced with Michael, the archangel. What a powerful being. And even Michael stands behind ethereal baffles. So Michael doesn't fry me like a crispy. But Michael really is the only arc I've really ever dealt with all that much. Because mostly I translate for everybody's bread and butter angels that are with them every day, every moment in their entire life. So I hope that gives that's a very broad breakdown of angelic life and how to hear them and how to feel them and where to put those informational bursts that you receive from them. And they love you no matter what. So, hey, they're more awesome than even your dog because they're not afraid of you and they just love you and they get you coming and going. So it's kind of nice. And just with the last few minutes of this show, I've been getting a lot of email from you guys through my Facebook pages and through my website asking me to talk a little bit more about what I mean about shadow government or military industrial complexes. And this is kind of a funny thing to put on the end of a show about angels, except for the fact that because we do have so many weird plot lines running right now in life, especially in this 20th century. We have got some weirdo plot lines running right now. Because we do, one of the things that is really prominent for us to look at is what's going on with these shadow government type of entities. And really, I can't even call them a shadow government. They're more what we would call we think of them as Illuminati. although they're not illuminated. And these are the groups that I've been talking about who take trillions of dollars out of the Pentagon defense spending budget, and they've built UFOs, basically. They've reverse engineered a lot of the UFO technology. Again, people, if you see a triangle in the sky, we built it. If you see a round circular orb in the sky, it comes from off-world. We have reverse engineered a lot of that technology because we want to use it as weaponry. And what I think is so interesting about all that is that there are so many people frightened of the idea of shadow government manipulating our media. And I mean, with this Sinclair Broadcasting thing that just came out, I cracked up. I thought that was hysterical. People are like, that's not funny, Danielle. That's not funny. I'm like, actually, it's hilarious because we are seeing the dissolution of the imbalanced masculine time frame right in front of us to the point of everybody reading the same script. I mean, I'm sorry, if you can't have a sense of humor about a changeover in time frames, what the heck are we doing here in this time period? So the shadow governments, gang, are actually just very well funded. They're not even military branches. The military doesn't even know about them. And a lot of times they are working in the areas of reverse engineered UFO technology, alternative energy technology, and a lot of them are obsessed with crowd control or with controlling the Earth's resources. Because I don't think it takes a super genius or a psychic to know that with 8 billion people on a planet that can only really support maybe 4 billion people, we've got some problems with resources coming up. So when we hear about, shadow government, and they're going to pull false flags, which means that if you see a false flag, that is where we attack ourselves and then point to another country and say, oh, that was Iraq or Iran or a terrorist. But actually, we did it because we want to get involved in a fight. And I'll say this till I'm blue in the face. If you ever see a, quote, alien invasion, end quote, on the news, it is not aliens. It is us, people. Again, triangles are us. Big round ships are theirs. So anyway, our shadow governments are at play right now. And I can't even call them a shadow government because they aren't governing. They're just pulling resources and money and trying to affect perception. What I will tell you is they do deal in media a ton. So with all of this crazy focus on Sinclair Media right now, I'm cracking up because it's really foiling the big fat plan of a lot of these sociopathic control mechanisms or shadow governments to get everybody afraid of each other. I tell you, the more we do not fear one another, the more we come into oneness with one another. The more we come together, no matter what the news is talking about, and decide to just do incredible things in our communities, incredible things for one another as individuals. All of this crazy stuff we're seeing on the news trying to polarize everybody into camp A and B so we start a civil war, that is that shadow government, okay? So is it at play? Yes. Is it real? Well, yeah, it's real. Is it kind of overblown and remind me of Dr. Evil in the middle of a mountain, talking out the corner of his mouth, thinking he's just the wittiest thing he's ever heard? Yeah, because the hubris involved in these organizations is massive. And they truly do operate in a sphere believing that nothing can touch their authority or their effect on media or public perception or the world. Going back to the angels, every single human being or elemental or hybrid or whatever the heck is walking around in a flesh suit down here on this spinning rock called Earth has a group of angels hardwired to them. And those angels are working for the betterment of the whole, even though they can't tell us what to do or affect what we do outside of making recommendations. Yet that doesn't mean that they are not all collectively working on the other side of the ethereal wall for love, for balance, and for peace. So they might not be able to tell us what to do, but we don't tell them what to do either. And they know exactly what we're going to do before we do it. And they can make all sorts of adjustments on the other ethereal side to really absorb some pretty hideous things that we lay down over here. So this is why you might notice that tensions will get really crazy in the world, and then all of a sudden one or two things will happen and it all de-escalates. And yes, could that be universe or collective consciousness or God? Of course. But these angels are part of the same all that we are. I mean, everything is part of universal consciousness. Everything is part of God, including us, including these angels. Even if you don't believe in God, everything is boiled down to dark matter. We all share dark matter, period. So we're all connected. And therefore, we know what one another is going to do before one another does it. So just when you think, oh my God, there's shadow government and, deep state. Some people call it deep state. Other people call it the Illuminati. Good heavens, gang. All of those people operating in those dark areas also have angels that may not be able to necessarily change the course of what those people are doing, but they are working on them focusing on their own higher good to the best of their ability. We have to remember that we have a lot of help down here. And if we were going to just blow ourselves up, that would have happened a long time ago. And human beings have been populating this planet for hundreds of thousands of years. We've endured wipeout after wipeout of our species, and we just keep rebooting with the help of some of our off-world cousins. We just keep rebooting, and these angels keep resaddling, and we just keep coming back and doing our thing. Because that's what we as human beings do. Our next show, gang, is all going to be about what is the meaning of life? Why the heck are we even on planet Earth? What are we as a species? And what is this planet actually doing? I mean, what's the point of all of these lessons? What's the point of maybe getting run over by a semi-truck? But no, we're saved by our angel. What's the point of 8 billion chaotic souls and loving souls? Is it really only a 70 to 90 year learning spree and we're out? Or is our life here something far greater than what we are even aware of? So next show, guys, I'm going to be addressing one of the biggest questions I have ever gotten in my entire life, which is why the hell are we on this planet? And what are we doing here? And is this just random, or is there some divine design, or is it something else? Everybody, thank you so much for joining me. I love having you. This is so much fun. I love bringing you this information every single week. Join me next week while we literally talk about why the heck are we here? What is the meaning of life? And what is the earth actually about? Until then, be a light in your communities. Shine. Be brilliant. Bring your greatest love and your greatest genius into this incarnation because, folks, we are what saves the world at the end of the day. Go be blessed. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week.